Yeah, well, Prof here, and I started opening this because I'm so excited without filming it. Or a little bit upside down. Here, I'll flip you guys over. There you go. That's what came in. You're like, that looks massive. It is indeed. This is a way bigger box than I thought it would come in. But it's a 32-inch. This is LG's OLED monitor. So WOLED, I know some of you might be like, oh, WOLED, QD OLED's better. Not for my uses, personally. I may, as part of this video, at some point go over why I ended up with the, specifically the LG. I've been liking their branded stuff. With their dual up, I've had a good experience. And why I actually prefer a WOLED, at least for what I do and how I use it. It's going to become the main monitor over here for now on the basement setup. Then once we go upstairs, it's going to have one of those and LG dual up, just because I prefer that form factor. So I'm going to get this opened up. This is definitely not something I can film by myself. And Paisley has just taken my chair again. Paisley, I think you know that you're not supposed to sit there. I'm pretty sure you know that. Oh, you definitely are not supposed to use your claws on my headrest. Alright guys, well I'm going to get this cracked open. This just seems like a massive box for a 32-inch, because the monitor is going to stop like here. Maybe the stand or something. I do have a little bit of room if you look here towards the edge, that I can scoot this monitor just a hair. See, and then I got a little bit more room over here. However, we're going to start hitting things. So I'm already almost hitting cables and stuff like that, but we'll make her fit. These are 27s, 32s, and are 5 inches diagonally, which if I recall is less. I don't know if it's less or more horizontally. But yeah, let's get this cracked open. This is, I think, the first monitor, OLED monitor, that matters to me. Prior to this, had no use for them. And the other thing I found is that I really only care, at least for high refresh gaming, that my main monitor be capable of that. I thought I would like, and I do like, having all three of the same monitor. However, realistically, not needed. Not needed, especially when you can get like an LG dual up as a secondary, or there could be something that you prefer as a secondary monitor. Or you could just want to save money. That's another option. So let me get this cracked open here. I originally opened the other side, that's the front, and then I realized shouldn't have opened it from the front, because that is all the accessories and stand and stuff are on the back side. So, and Paisley has her bag now. So I got about 20 minutes till work starts. Hopefully I can get this on the desk. Alright, so just to clarify, I called it. I did flip this 180 degrees, so that was where that spot was over there. There's the monitor. That's a much more reasonable size. It's because the stand that this thing came with is so friggin' beefy. That's all metal, dual screws. Normally only see one. Super wide and beefy. Definitely not going to have any issues holding this monitor up. That is for sure. Yeah, this over here just seems like wasted space. My guess is that they, because of the beefy stand there, it had to have its own spot. Also, they might have already had this box from the ultra-wide Ultra Gear monitors, because I would have thought they could have packed it flat. Both that monitor arm stand thing and the base go completely flat, so I don't know. But yeah, the box makes this thing look like just ginormous, but then you find out there's like a good chunk of it that isn't actually a monitor. Then I flipped it around because this should be that should be the top, which means down here. Yeah, so if you see in here, I can snap the stand in this way. So I am going to keep this foamy guy that goes over it. The other ones I'm not going to bother with. Because this is the one, if I need to repackage it up, that'll actually protect stuff. Looking at this. Alright, so looking at this. I'm not putting this stupid cable cover on it. They gave it to you for the box over there. Don't do this monitor, guys. LG on their dual up actually just put the things going this way. Much nicer. As long as they're away from the stand area. Now, if you guys are running Y, they normally put them on the side here. That's often so it can go to portrait without running into the, like, imagine if the cables are here, they would hit the stand. Well, if you put them here, then they still hit the stand. So, like on the LG dual up, they're like over here. I want to say roughly. We have a kitten in a box. What are you doing in there, Pace? So on this whole thing so far, the only two strips, and I love to see this. This is something I noticed on my LG dual up and similar LG monitors I've opened for other people. The only two strips of gloss on this entire thing, where you have to peel off this nonsense, which, yeah, even though these Asuses look like they're not glossy, yeah, on this side, on the side you see, on this side, they have all this garbage back there that they want to protect. Nobody sees that. Why do that? Waste of tape, time, and money. Here's just these two strips, and I believe these are ambient backlighting. So that would make sense why they need to be protected. Is they're a lens? They're not just like shiny black plastic. And you guys know my thoughts on that. If you have to protect shiny black plastic in shipping, I understand why, because you're going to get more complaints than it costs you to put this on. But like this has reason. Those are actually lenses for LEDs. But if it's just shiny black plastic, then it shouldn't have been shiny black plastic, right? So we got the classic LG nipple here with a power button. Then there's a dedicated 240 Hz, 480 Hz mode switch. Now that's not, they lie, it's not dual mode 240, 480. It's actually 4K 240, 1080p 480. And that's probably why you need a mode switch. It's because the scaler actually goes into a different mode, from my understanding. And that's what puts it into, that's what makes it different than, say, my old Sony TV. That was 4K 60 or 1080p 120, and you would just adjust that on your console or your computer. It does have, for when this finally goes upstairs on the main desk, a proper VESA mount with 4 screws, and they give you the 4 screws in the VESA mount. Then another nice thing about LG is they have kind of knocked off Dell's quick attach clippies here. There's a hook on the bottom and a slidey in top on the other side. So I'll have to see here how exactly this works, but it should be pretty easy. Literally took me 2 seconds just because the monitor is so big I couldn't do it one-handed. Okay, these carts are actually only slightly higher than those. So this is how you can tell that that is a substantial stand. Those Asus monitors over here, these are all the way up. All the way up. And if you notice, they only barely go portrait, right? So for how much you pay on these, that's kind of annoying because you want it at eye height, right? If I'm sitting here, my eye height right now, right here, I need these up higher. Like I'm like right, shoulder height is here roughly. Yeah, like that's shoulder height. So my eye height is like nigh on. And you guys wonder why I want monitor arms? Yeah, because my eye height is like right about there. So these need to go up. You know, yay more. And I can tell you, up yay more. You see that difference? Also, you're like, what, matte? Yes, matte screen. Muy importante. See the light? Yeah, that is why it's not always going to be here, but it's going to be up in the office by windows. So you're going to get kind of that diffused, faded, I don't want just a glare of this stuff all. And people are like, oh, when you're gaming and stuff, you can control it. Cool, but the gaming is only one small part of what this is going to be doing. So yes, that is why I took some, like, oh yes, glossy is better, and oh yes, QD OLED technically better. However, it looks like ask for text. Why I went with WOLED. So yeah, looks like it's got a little bit of foam on there yet. I got to dust off, but now I got them. I'm gonna measure. You know, if you guys need this is not a good tape measure. If you need just a cheapie to keep on hand at all times, pick up this DeWalt. It's got a little magnet in it right there. A little 9-footer. Perfect for keeping it on your desk, slapping if you got metal legs. You can just slap it on there so you always have one. In this case, because this looks massive compared to that. Okay, here I'm standing where I'm going to sit. Monitor. 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 Yeah. So I got to fit this in that hole by nudging things. And we'll have to measure to make sure I can do that. Alright, so quick update on the monitor. By no means the final thing here. But it's set up. I'm happy to have 32-inch 4K back in my life because I can read that text size without any scaling, and that's going to make a lot of programs happy. And especially once I go to the LG dual ups have the same pixel density as a 32-inch 4K. So there's a decent chance that at least on my desktop, my main system, I will finally be able to go away from scaling again. Whereas with these 4K 27 inches, I may still scale 1 or 2 monitors or something like that. We'll have to see. But the 175% scaling on a 4K 27 inch is essentially the exact same as a 1920 by 1200 at 24 inches. Except it's just bigger. So that was actually kind of nice. I can replicate that with a 4K 32, especially like the LG dual up as this monitor. That's what I use for the browse web. I'm just so used to that pixel density when browsing the web, typing documents, reading PDFs, etc. that I'll probably still do that over here. But so for right now we got 175% scaling, none because it's 32 inch, 125% scaling because on 27 inch 4K I need scaling. I learned that already on that Scepter monitor way back in the day. There's just no comparison. Or like here, look at that size text. And even with scaling over here, if you look here, that size. I hate this shit where it gets stuck on the monitor. About the same size. So that's why I want a 32-inch 4K. To be truthful, when people bought the second generation of these IPS 144 hertz, the Gigabyte had a much updated model, and they had it available at 32 inches for about what I paid for the 27s. So that's what I recommended everybody buy. This stand, super caked beef, way better than these stupid things. Like I think Acer started that design, and then Asus copied them. Garbage. Takes up way more of your desk. You can't put anything here. I can now set my work laptop right there on that stand. Just plug her in. Here's another thing that I think OLED TVs need to learn now from LG's OLED monitors. Look at that. There is a whole frame and back around the entire monitor that I could pick up and hold without feeling like I was going to explode it. So super duper happy about that. I'm not sure how I'm gonna watch this video of monitors unboxed. I think they do a pretty good job. Colors seem off. Now that could be just because I have it next to two IPS panels. So for comparison, it might not be necessarily incorrect. It could just be different. Now there's 2 modes by default on here, Gamer 1 and Gamer 2. All the rest are pretty much useless. And those let you have basically 2 presets. And from my experience, in Windows, so far at least, Gamer 2 is what you want if you're not setting an HDR signal. Gamer 2 with HDR looks like ass. You want Gamer 1 for HDR. Maybe they purposely set it up that way. I think it has something to do with brightness. Brightness is not at 100% on Gamer 1. But like HDR obviously plays with that a bit more. Colors look way off on Gamer 2 and HDR. So, and there's all these sub settings. That's where I'm going to watch some videos on it and see some people if they have just... I'm not too worried about calibrating it yet until it gets up in the office. But the build quality on this, one thing to be aware of that I did like on the Asus is 2 display ports, 2 HDMI ports on every monitor. On here, you only get the 1 display port and 2 HDMI ports. Not a huge deal. My dock was just set up to DisplayPort, HDMI, and I just had to, because I didn't care that this one's going to run at a lower refresh rate because of how the dock works. Now what's going to happen, it's going to be DisplayPort, HDMI. Not a huge deal. It's just like you do have a little less options. One thing I can say is I don't know about the DisplayPort that came in the box. I'm using my own because it was already wired up here. But the HDMI was actually it even has a label on it saying it's certified, like ultra high speed HDMI, which is what you need, guys. Cables for HDMI are not rated in HDMI 2.0, 2.1, 1.4. No. They're full. I don't think they're gonna say full speed, but there's high speed. That's 1080p. Normal HDMI was up to 720p, right? And then high speed was generally speaking 1080p or 4K 30. Anything above that, you need an ultra high speed rated cable. I think there is one in between there, but almost nobody used it ever. We bypassed it very quickly. But it does that. You want that ultra high speed rating, and in the box of this monitor, even if I don't end up using it for this monitor, was a certified ultra high speed HDMI cable, which of the people that make them, Club 3D has had one since basically the beginning. Belkin had one because they made one for the Apple TV. And then actually the only other one I know off the top of my head that is definitely certified is going to be Best Buy, but not their high-end brand. Best Buy Essentials, so their generic brand, are certified. What? Yeah, even though like the Monster cable or the audio whatever, like Best Buy's like high-end brand, they're not certified. And a lot of times, what these care about is being certified, not, oh, it's got super fancy wires and cables in there and should support it. No, certification says it does support it. That's the important part. So I'm gonna get working. Probably running on a Gamer 1 because the whites are much whiter and it's much brighter. In between, I'll probably might listen to some reviews while I'm working, and figure out what the correct settings are. And I have a feeling there was not much HDR control on these Asus ones. It kind of just turned it on. There's much more in here because it's an OLED. It does proper HDR, pretty much. And I did manage to make it fit. Here, look over here, guys. Okay, and then look over here. This one's actually, the weight's here, so we're not worried. Over there, it's right to the edge. So I did have to shift my keyboard that much to the left because the center of this monitor got shifted because that's skinnier than that guy. Oh, check this out. This is a proper monitor height. You pay good money for your monitor. I don't even need a monitor arm. Look right there. Okay, now you'll see why. Now Asus could go up a little bit higher over here, right on the vertical one. But look at the horizontal one. That's what I was talking about. Like, oh, they got this really cool stand gamer, blah 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 blah. It's this much too short though, or maybe not that much because it is a smaller monitor, but like, it needs to be at least that much higher. Like I said, and I'm about your average height human. Like, I would actually argue that this is, and I can measure it, this might even be slightly too tall for me. And we'll see once I get to using it. But right now, I can put my arms on my, I was going to say arm pads. And I am looking dead into the middle of the monitor, right there. So, like, somebody finally put a proper height monitor stand on their monitor. One complaint, I guess, would be if you're worried. I'm not worried about doing. I always hate these holes. Don't ever use these holes. They have them on the Asus too. That one's like a massive hole. It's fine. This one, you can't even get a DisplayPort cable through properly. Like, it's just, I can barely fit my finger in there. Yeah, it's just not a big enough hole, actually. Should have been, like, it doesn't need to be that wide. But it definitely, I can't even fit my hand in there. Handhold would have been nice, too, for picking it up. But yeah, the other thing, like I said, that OLED TVs really need to take away from these monitors is they're actually pretty thick. And when you're grabbing them, because on the TVs, and I can go show you my TV real quick, like, you're worried about even touching this edge because you're just going to snap the damn thing off. That is what I've wanted from TV. No, I'm not going to buy a new TV just to get like a thicker TV. But I actually had this installed and delivered because, look at that. Look at that. Look at how thin that is. That is how thick it is. The whole way down. And then there's a big chunk of electronics back there. I know a thinner TV look better, but no, look, that's not a flush mount. But because I can pull it from the wall and adjust like tilt, because I have it up higher. I like to tilt it down a little bit. You can also pull it out from the wall a little bit too. Like if you want to, like once I have my speakers set up properly and that, I could actually pull it out from the wall to line up with like the front of the what do you want to call it, like home theater equipment basically. And it slides left and right, so it's not a flush mount per se, but like you do not, there's not much mount, there's less mount thickness back there I think than TV thickness, because there's that big chunky base. How these monitors did it, here you can see from, I'll 2-tap zoom in, you can see it, it's the middle guy with the white stripe there. 5X, there you go, you can see, like, it just looks like a normal monitor. It might be a touch thinner, but it was super freaking sturdy. You know, they didn't even try to, like I said, it's thinner than these Asus IPS panels, but even Gigabyte managed to make their IPS panels thinner and less bezel than that. That's Asus. Like, they're like, oh, we had the first round of stuff, we need to redesign it. But yeah, it's freaking awesome. Freaking awesome.